Spending a decade and a half on the state Supreme Court, now Richard Sanders is hoping for a comeback.
The former justice was a lightning rod during his time on the bench, and controversy is sure to follow him during this campaign. And C.R. Douglas joins us live now with the story.
I would say controversy is going to follow him.
Absolutely.
This guy just kind of attracts it, if you will. You know, he narrowly lost his bid in 2010, and ever since, this self-professed libertarian has criticized many of the high court's rulings. Now, as I said, he seems to attract criticism wherever he goes. Certainly did throughout his tenure. Early on, he got flack for attending a pro-life rally, a political event, and towards the end of his time in the court, he was harshly criticized for calling George W. Bush's last attorney general a tyrant to his face.
There's been a lot of attacks against me. I guess that's true. But I sat on the court trying to do the best I could to make sure the rights of everybody were protected, and that made some people mad.
Why do you want to be back on the Supreme Court?
Our Constitution begins by saying it's the purpose of government to protect and maintain individual rights, and that's what I did when I was on the Supreme Court. I did it in spades. I protected the rights of free speech, freedom of religion, property ownership, the right to keep and bear arms, the right for a fair trial if you're a criminal defendant, right down the line for everybody, no exceptions. I see decisions coming down which I think are skewed in favor of the government, and that happened when I was on the court, but I could try to do something about it. And now my voice isn't there anymore, and I think it would be a better court if I was there.
You got criticized during your time on the court for siding with defendants almost all the time. Do you think you were too pro-criminal?
I was certainly not pro-criminal. I was pro-law. I was pro-defending the rights of the individual. And I didn't side with the defendants almost all the time. In a petition for review, that's how you get in the door of the court. I voted to deny 90%, which meant that the conviction was affirmed. Once they got through the door of the court and we heard their case on the merits, every case was individual. Every case deserved to be heard on the merits.
But it is fair to describe your time, certainly in criminal defense cases, that you were less with the prosecution than you were with the defendants.
That's right.
Many attribute Sanders' 2010 loss to a controversial comment made just weeks before the election. Sanders said that African Americans are more represented in prison because they commit more crimes. Do you stand by that assessment?
Well, I think my remarks were taken out of context and misunderstood. The question arose is the judiciary a racist institution? You know, I've served on the judiciary. I practiced before the judiciary as a private lawyer before I was on the court, and I don't think the judiciary is a racist institution. I think there's probably racism in society. I mean, maybe sometimes police are motivated for a reason like that, or perhaps, well, one of my opponents, a former prosecutor, filed 3 times as many felony charges against black people in his county as their representation in the population. That's the reason we have a lot of people in prison. I, as a sitting judge, can't cure the social problems of the world, but what I can do is contribute to making every individual have a fair trial. So that's all I can do, and that's what I did. And that's the reason I was criticized, like in your earlier questions, for being pro-criminal. You know, you stand up for some guy's rights, a black guy's rights, who's accused of some sort of heinous crime, and then all of a sudden you're pro-criminal. No, that's not the way it is. Judges are supposed to be there to stand up for the rights of the citizen, and that's what I did.
There are 3 other people running for this open state Supreme Court position: former Pierce County Executive John Ladenburg, King County Superior Court Judge Bruce Hillier, and lawyer Cheryl Gordon McLeod.
I tell you what, he's going to make it interesting, that's for sure. He wants to get back in the fight, and he seems to have the passion to do it.
He absolutely does. In fact, one thing he said to me was, we had a bait when I was on the court. We didn't sweep it under the rug, which is kind of what he says is happening now. He says, we did battle, and I want to do it again. So, you know, that's the kind of guy he is.